there recognizes the ribosome for the translation process, while this part of the or this arm of tRNA, it brings the amino group from the cytoplasm. This part of the tRNA is the arm which recognizes the enzyme to bring amino group from the cytoplasm so that it becomes activated. And then this part of this tRNA, it actually recognizes the messenger RNA. So the three codons which is present here, which is that codon which will be complementary to the mRNA, where it can go and sit. And the next peculiar thing we learned about tRNA was that this tRNA is for 20 amino acid, 20 tRNAs are there. Okay, so each tRNA is very particular for one kind of amino acid to break. Okay, so we'll move forward after this.
Consists of 4 arms or sites: ribosome recognition site, anticodon site, enzyme recognition site, and amino acid binding site or carrier end. Each of the tRNA regions perform a particular function. Take the case of the ribosome recognition site, which recognizes specific ribosomes attached to the mRNA and brings amino acids to the ribosome for protein synthesis. On the other hand, the anticodon site consists of 3 nitrogen bases called the anticodon. During protein synthesis, the anticodon pairs with the codon of the mRNA strand. However, the anticodon of tRNA is complementary to the codon of the mRNA strand. Apart from the anticodon site, a tRNA molecule also consists of an enzyme recognition site, also known as the D-arm or dihydrouracil loop. This particular site is the recognition site for amino acid synthetase enzyme, which helps the amino acid bind to the tRNA. Incidentally,
what you saw just now, this enzyme is actually present in the cytoplasm. Okay, and the tRNA, as you see, it's coming, binding, attached. First of all, it recognizes the enzyme, with that the D arm or the arm which recognizes the enzyme. And then after, if it is the right enzyme, you can see the amino group which is present here. This is the amino group which is already there along with the enzyme. Okay, so the arm will recognize that, this arm will recognize the enzyme and attach to the this enzyme which is in the cytoplasm. And now you will see it will take the amino group from the enzyme, and then it becomes activated, and with this only it moves for the translation process on the mRNA as well as ribosome.
binding takes place at the 3' end of the amino acid binding site. Did you know that there is a specific tRNA for each of the 20 amino acids found in the human body? Also, there is a specific tRNA called initiator tRNA, which initiates the process of protein synthesis. However, there are no tRNAs for stop codons. tRNA,
the initiators or the first tRNA which will sit on the binding site and will initiate the process of translation is known as the initiator, or the one which will start the process of translation, because other than mRNA having this complete the codes, but to start from where it will start also, again the translation becomes active with this, the first tRNA or the tRNA which is called as
is thus an important molecule, and it plays a vital role in protein synthesis by bringing amino acids to the mRNA template in the cytoplasm.
Adapter. What you see is the animation of complete translation.
Macrophages. Ability. Evolved relation. mRNA of genetic information. Proteins play a pivotal role in the proper functioning of any organism. The synthesis of proteins occurs in a cell in two phases, namely transcription and translation. The process of converting mRNA codon sequences into an amino acid polypeptide chain is called translation. Prior to translation, mRNA, which is synthesized in the nucleus of a eukaryote cell, migrates through the nuclear pore into the cytoplasm of the cell. The cytoplasm also contains tRNA, amino acids, and ribosomes, all of which are involved in the process of translation. The amino acids and tRNAs.
What you saw, see, these all are the, we can say, raw materials needed for the process of translation. As you see, this one, this is the mRNA. Just now we called the process of transcription. When we learned, we have learned it is prepared inside the nucleus in eukaryotes. Okay, while these are the ribosomes, various other units, subunits, they lie separate. They come together on this mRNA. Okay, on this mRNA they come and join. That is ribosome. And what you see here are amino groups, and you can see how the tRNA, these all are tRNAs. How they are getting excited and getting or activated with the help of enzyme, taking the amino groups. Okay, so these are the raw materials needed for the process of translation. We are entering into the topic of translation now.
In cytoplasm become activated by a process called the charging or aminoacylation. During this process, amino acid binds with ATP in the presence of aminoacyl RNA synthetase and is activated into aminoacyl AMP enzyme complex. This complex reacts with tRNA and transfers the amino acid to it. As a result, tRNA becomes activated as aminoacyl tRNA, and the enzyme and AMP are liberated. The tRNA has an anticodon loop, which determines the amino acid that will link to it. This anticodon of tRNA is complementary to the codon sequence on the mRNA and will only bind to that codon. Apart from tRNA, a ribosome is another component required for translation. It is made up of structural RNAs and about 80 different proteins. In the inactive state, a ribosome consists of two subunits, a large subunit and a small subunit. The large subunit consists of two sites, the P or peptidyl site, also called the donor site, and A or aminoacyl site, also called the acceptor site. At these sites, the two subsequent aminoacyl tRNAs bind and facilitate the formation of a peptide bond between the two amino acids. The ribosome also acts as a catalyst in the formation of the peptide bond. Another component in translation is mRNA, which consists of the start codon AUG that codes for methionine, the stop codon, which is either UAA, UAG, or UGA, a region that codes for the polypeptides, and regions that are not translated into proteins called untranslated regions or UTR. These regions are present at both the 5' end before the start codon and the 3' end after the stop codon and ensure efficient translation. Translation occurs in 3 phases: initiation,
Aryan, I'm not able to
and
stop.
termination.
tRNA you understood. Now about ribosome, again, when we say it has got, a few things if you learn about it. One is, again, it is synthesized somewhat like as mRNAs are synthesized. But then again, there also polymerase enzyme, RNA polymerase enzyme to synthesize this. Okay, this is coming from the DNA itself. Okay, okay, fine. And then the other thing is, it is of various smaller units. Some are larger units, some are smaller units, which is present in the cytoplasm, and they remain separate so that it remains deactive condition till they don't need it for translation. They remain deactivated. While the time of, once the mRNA is formed and comes out of the nucleopore, this tRNA is also getting prepared. That's the time. Then on the mRNA, this both the unit comes in. More as we'll see the animation of initiation process of translation. You will see how this, you can see the one unit is coming down, the smaller unit is there, a bigger unit is going to come and place itself over that. Okay, so this, okay, so this one, no, this is a smaller unit, what you see, which remains there. Only they come together, both the smaller and the larger unit, during the process of uh, translation, and once it is over, they move out also. Okay, so you can see, so ribosome has got one. Of course, it also recognizes the portion where it has to attach itself to the mRNA. That is one site it has got. Other than that, it has got two sites which is available on a ribosome for two tRNAs at a time. At a time, two tRNA comes and sits on the ribosome. One is the two, in the sense, every time the this chain, as you can see for this one, this is the groups which is coming together with a forming the bond and forming the protein. Okay, for this there is one donor and one recipient. Okay, two tRNAs, two sites are there, the site which will donate and the site which will receive. So the first one, this first site, you can see here, the previous diagram was much more clear. Anyways, the first, you will be seeing further in animation during elongation process how it happens. Okay, in the donor site, always one tRNA will be sitting here, while the other tRNA here will remain, and the amino group actually is transferred to the recipient, and the donor donates and moves out. As you can see here, it is. Okay, this is elongation process, and that's why on our ribosome there are two sites for tRNA. At the same time, two tRNA comes. Okay, fine. And then what you see, the next one is the process of termination. In termination, as we have learned, names of even the codons, and we have learned the triplets, or say AUG, GUG, UGC. These codes are meant for, some of the codes are meant for stop codons. So that codons, as it comes, there is no binding site and there is no tRNA coming in, because it is, there is no anticodon made for against that codes. So tRNA cannot come and be there. So there is no translation happening from or after stop codons. As well as we have learned adenylation, that is tailing, when we learned in eukaryotes. There are many adenines which comes and attaches after during the tailing process. You know, the three steps: capping, uh, capping, splicing, and tailing. So when we learn the third part, that is tailing. In tailing, many adenines come and attach itself. Adenylation process we learn. That part is actually also not decoded. That is not translated into protein. Okay, so that part also leaves out. So this is the whole process. We are going to see again in animation that how the three phases of translation. Initiation. For initiation, we know there is one transfer RNA, tRNA, which initiates this process. That will be there, and then from there the process starts. Okay. Mhm. I can't start. Uh,
In the initiation phase, the small subunit of the ribosome moves along the mRNA strand to locate and bind to the. Imagine while baking a pizza, you accidentally use the peptide bond. And A8, a UAG, with a small ribosomal subunit containing the mRNA. Another aminoacyl tRNA now binds to the A site of the large ribosomal subunit. And the first peptide bond is formed between these amino acids. The peptide bond formation is catalyzed by the peptidyl transferase enzyme.
okay.
The formation of this bond requires energy,
This is
which
the
is
diagram as I was telling you. Fine.
obtained from
Two
ATP.
sides very clear.
Simultaneously, the first peptidyl tRNA gets removed, leaving the amino acid. The next phase is elongation, in which the ribosome runs along the mRNA in the 5' to 3' direction, moving from codon to codon and adding subsequent amino acids to the growing polypeptide chain. This is caused by the elongation factor translocase.
This is an enzyme.
And this process is called translocation step. On reaching the stop codon, UAA, a release factor or RF, binds to it, terminating the translation and releasing the polypeptide chain from the ribosome into cytoplasm. After the termination, the small and large subunits of the ribosome dissociate and the mRNA degenerates. The polypeptide chain is
See how they
therefore
are
an
moving
end
apart?
product of the
Ribosomes.
translation process that takes place in the
Okay.
cytoplasm.
So okay, this process of transcription, translation, and all this, the three steps are same, like initiation, elongation, termination. The terms little differs, okay, but the things are same. Initiation, or somewhere you have used the word promoter, okay, otherwise terminator, termination. So things are same, three steps only. Okay, the though we feel it's it's tough for topics, but it's actually very easy topics. Fine. Transcription, translation. Now this translation also, as you saw, the two sides. Now the process begins with initiation, where the tRNA, which is the initiator, which will come and sit on the anticodon part of the mRNA, which also starts the process. Now when all the three things comes, mRNA, on the mRNA, the ribosomal RNAs, both will come, the smaller and the larger unit, it recognizes the site and sits on, and the ribosome, on the ribosome, the two first tRNA will be coming, then only the process initiates. While on ribosome, as I said, there are two sites present. From the first site, this site, as well as one more site, that is recipient one, both places the tRNA comes and sit, and which tRNA depends upon the code present on the mRNA, because they recognize only the anticodon site, that is this mRNA. Okay, and from you can say, if I say this site as the first site, this site as the second site, what will happen? From the tRNA which comes, the donor tRNA which sits on the first site and giving or passing the amino group to the second site, it moves off, and on this first site, the second one has jump into. Okay, the second tRNA, which was a recipient, becomes a donor, moving to this first site. Okay, and then again this recipient site becomes vacant, and the other tRNA keeps on coming, and the coming of this tRNA depends on every time the code present on the mRNA. So it will happen till the stop codon, where it is the codes which are meant to stop the process when they reach, suppose it is here. So this process will keep on happening. The tRNAs will be coming, attaching to the every time to the recipient, the second site. Okay, and the first site which has got tRNA forms the polypeptide chain and the peptide chain, and then of course all this process needs a lot of energy. Okay, it's all energy consuming process. That's why all the enzymes, mRNA, tRNA, rRNA, and other all enzymes other than these things, they remain inactivated till it is not in need. It doesn't come together. Okay, else unnecessarily making protein is not only the waste of energy, but also the thing which is produced goes in waste if it is not needed by the body. Okay, and since it is energy consuming processes, so it remains deactivated or inactive form every time. That's why everywhere we are learning, it has got one or two factors which makes it active. Okay, now so after, I mean, the tRNAs, when they move from one site to the another site, the first site to second site, then it will transfer the amino group with the peptide bond, and then it will move out. Okay, again it is ready to take the another one. So like this process happens till the codon which reads for stop the process, called as stop codons. And then stop codons are nothing in the genetic code the chart. There are few codes which is meant to call, or they are called as stop codons, which is not at all decoded. From there, when there's no codes present for which anticodons are present, so automatically the process gets terminated. So initiation, elongation, and terminator. As you can see, again, to terminate the process, every time you will find some or other, like initiators are present. Likewise, there are terminators are also present, which will terminate the process by coming and attaching itself to that position. Further, which will not happen, that is making the things sure that the unnecessarily translation doesn't happen further. Okay, so this is how the whole process
dissociate
happens.
and the mRNA
Okay.
degenerates. The polypeptide chain is therefore an end product of the translation process
mRNA
that takes
gets
place
degenerated.
in the cytoplasm. Regulation of gene expression
Once the
refers to
process is over, mRNA dissociates. It is not further remains.
controlling the timing of appearance and amount of protein that is synthesized.
No more needed.
Gene expression results in the formation of a polypeptide, which is why it can be regulated at several levels. For instance, the different colored patches on a calico cat are due to different levels of expression of pigmentation genes in various parts of the skin. In cats and other eukaryotes, genetic regulation occurs at the following levels: transcription, post-transcriptional modification, transport of the mRNA from nucleus to cytoplasm, and translation. While in prokaryotes such as E. coli, the predominant site of gene regulation is the initiation of transcription. Therefore, we see that gene expression is regulated differently in eukaryotes and prokaryotes. Since gene expression results in the formation of a protein, genetic regulation controls which protein must be synthesized and which protein need not. For example, E. coli can use glucose, a monosaccharide,
Now, here
or lactose.
we are going to start with the next topic. There's gene regulation. I told you what is gene regulation. Gene regulation is regulators, as I always say. Regulators are what which increases, decreases the things. No, we have got regulators for fan and all, which increases or decreases the rate of any actions. We call it as regulation. Okay. Now, when we say, I already told you that this process, transcription, translation, all this process needs a lot of energy. We are going to start with the lac operand model. We are going to the purpose of this operand model was given by Mr. Operand. Why this is explained here. The reason is to explain you when and how the things get activated. We are going to learn that. That means I told you whenever our body needs a type of protein, then a type of protein will be produced. Understood? If B is needed, then only B will be produced. So at the demand of the body, as the need of the body, proteins are synthesized. It's not that it will keep on making proteins and keep it aside. Okay, in a bank it is keeping and you can take it when you want. It's not like that. It is only synthesized. That means this gene expression. What is gene expression? Both the regulation or the process or the the process of transcription and translation when to happen is actually known as gene expression. Whenever gene expression, when we say, it means the process of transcription, the initiation of the process of transcription followed by translation and getting the protein ready. So this gene expression, or how, and it's not how, but rather when these genes have to give the, because unless and until DNA will not give the mRNAs, the process will not start at all. So it is DNA which will decide that yes, and DNA, how it comes to know, it comes to know from the needs of the body in the cell, what is needed, it comes to know, and then it allows the process by allowing the transcription to happen. So that is gene expression. Now we are going to learn what actually triggers the process of transcription, and the topic has now changed from gene expression. Now we are learning into the lac operand model. That is the next topic. This is starting with that only, and this will tell you about when there's a need of transcription and translation, when the genes get expressed, and it will make the transcription further followed by translation. That is what we are going to learn now under lac operand model. Since it was given by operand, so it is named under him. While second thing, lactose become here the the key point which initiates or which are the reasons which triggers the process of uh, gene expression or the process of transcription followed by translation in in prokaryote. We are talking about this lac operant model is given on bacteria E. coli. Okay, and the name of this model is lac operant because, as I said, lac is the lactose on which presence or absence makes the gene expressed or expression, and this was given by Mr. Operand. That's why it is known as lac operand model. This is he actually explained in prokaryote in an E. coli enzyme, E. coli bacteria, how it happens. So I don't think it will get over.
A
Let us
disaccharide
see till where it goes.
It
will take time.
as its source of energy. However, lactose needs to be hydrolyzed or digested before it is used, and hence the bacterium prefers to use glucose when it can. But in the absence of glucose and presence of lactose, E. coli synthesizes an enzyme, beta-galactosidase, to catalyze the hydrolysis of lactose into galactose and glucose. However, in the absence of lactose, the bacteria will not synthesize the enzyme beta-galactosidase. This shows that gene expression.
Okay, fine. As I was telling you about, it is all about in example shown in a prokaryote, that is E. coli. What is trying to say is glucose is already in a monosaccharide form and it does not need any kind of digestion. So what happens? E. coli also always try to take glucose as its energy source. Okay, like we also in our body, of course, glucose is not found every time like that. We have to get it during the respiration process. We have learned how in glycolysis and all, it is broke down into glucose and from glucose and all that. So that is a different thing. But I'm saying is in E. coli